Amex pop-up jail. One, if not the most annoying things about Amex as a credit card lender. I honestly just had to make this video as quickly as possible because I've just been seeing way too many people getting caught up in Amex's pop-up jail right now, and we need to talk about why that's the case, as well as what my experience has been with it and how I plan on getting out of it. But before we get there, we of course need to answer the question, what is Amex pop-up jail? For those of y'all that are fortunate enough to never have gotten hit with this before, basically what it is sometimes whenever you apply for an American Express credit card, you'll get hit with a pop-up window at the time of you clicking submit on the application, telling you that you are not eligible for the welcome offer that you're applying for. Here's exactly what the pop-up window looks like in general whenever you get it. What it states is that based on your history with credit card balance transfers, American Express welcome offers, introductory APR offers, or the number of cards you've opened and closed, you are not eligible to receive this offer. And then they also say that they have not performed a credit check yet, and if we do proceed with it, that's when they do the credit check. But if you cancel it at this screen, you'll have no effect to your credit score. Now that we have a quick understanding of what it is, let's talk about how you might get stuck in it. Well, honestly, it all just goes back to that pop-up window. They tell you exactly what factors they care about when considering you for a welcome bonus. Looking back at that pop-up window again, we can tell that they do care about your history with credit card balance transfers, Amex welcome offers, introductory APR offers, and your history with the number of Amex credit cards you've opened and closed. So even though you may actually be eligible for this welcome offer because you've never had the card before and you didn't violate any of their application rules, Amex may still decide that they should not be extending you a welcome offer and cut you off right there. I think the two biggest factors that get people locked up in Amex's pop-up jail is opening and closing too many of their cards, and or you have not put enough spend on the cards that you do have with them. It really just all comes down to you upsetting Amex or their algorithms in some way. One interesting thing about Amex's pop-up jail though is that it generally only applies to certain families of credit cards. So for example, you may not get hit with pop-up whenever you apply for a certain family of credit cards like the Hilton credit cards with Amex, for example. But even if you don't get the pop-up window there, you may get a pop-up window with a card like the Amex Platinum. But aside from that, I think there are only a few main factors that really matter when it comes to getting yourself stuck in Amex pop-up jail. Like I said before, if you're closing too many Amex cards, they might put you in there. If you're not putting enough spend on the cards that you have with them, they also don't like that. And further than that, if you're getting their cards and only spending on them for the welcome bonuses, that's also a red flag, of course. Or lastly, you just do something to show that you are not a profitable customer to Amex, which all those reasons I just listed are ways that that is the case. Obviously, we can try to avoid these things, but there's no hard set rules on the exact amount of money you have to spend on their cards per month or anything like that. So if you get stuck in Amex's pop-up jail, how do you get out? First of all, there is no phone number that you can call, realistically at least, to get out of pop-up jail right away. We're going to talk about my experience with this here in a little bit, but from what I can tell, even the customer service reps that might be helping you out and trying to get you approved without that pop-up, they will also get that pop-up on their end, which just goes to show that it's an algorithm-based thing and not necessarily a human-based thing. But whenever you do get this pop-up window, you can just be rest assured, I guess, that you are not going to be able to get the welcome bonus on that card, and that's just that. There are some indirect ways that you can kind of get around it though, and the first way, of course, that's very conservative is to just stop applying for Amex cards for a few months or so. And honestly, I think that they do probably keep track of how many times you use that apply with confidence tool, so it's probably not a good idea to use that over and over after you get hit with the pop-up window to see if you can get around it. I've definitely been guilty of this, but I do not recommend that you do it. On top of just holding off from applications to try to get out of pop-up jail though, there is one main way that everybody talks about getting out of it, and that's going to be putting a lot of spend on your Amex credit cards. The consensus that most people come to is that if you just put more spend on your Amex credit cards over a certain amount of time, then you'll magically get out of pop-up jail. The fact of the matter is that low spenders are generally targeted with this pop-up window, and there's good reason for that on their end. However, if low spenders should be getting Amex credit cards in the first place is a topic for another video, but just realize that in order to get out of pop-up jail, if you have a lot of Amex cards that you just have not been using lately, you probably need to shift some of your spend over to those cards if you have any hopes of getting out of it. Another way that you can possibly avoid pop-up jail is kind of like what we talked about earlier, and that's applying for a card in a different family of credit cards than the one you're trying to get. I know a lot of people who have tried to get something like the Platinum card, including myself, and then get a pop-up for that, but maybe don't get a pop-up for the Hilton cards. But of course, your mileage may vary on this, and that's just one of the ways that you could maybe get around it. Also, with Amex's pre-approval tool now, the apply with confidence tool, you can technically kind of test around to see what cards might give you the pop-up jail, but again, I'd be really conservative with this and not just constantly applying for them, because if Amex is tracking the amount of times that you use that tool, that could, obviously hurt you in getting approved for their cards. But if you're wanting to sneak around pop-up jail without actually having to apply for a card you don't want instead, the first thing I would do is use an incognito window on Amex's public website to try to get the highest offer generated there, instead of trying to get that highest welcome offer through a referral link, because it seems like referral links are what they crack down on the hardest, because those do have the highest public welcome offers that you can possibly find. But better than that, if you get mailers from Amex in your mailbox, do not throw those away right away. This is actually the easiest workaround for Amex's pop-up jail, as well as stuff like the Chase 524 rule even. From personal experience, I saw that GT in the credit community Discord Discord run by myself, Mark Plymale, and Daniel Braun, which of course is linked down below, said that instead of throwing them away right away, what they'll do is actually just take a picture of that mailer, because what you need off of that mailer is the invitation code they sent you, which will help you get around pop-up jail if you happen to be stuck in it. While the mailers may give you a slightly lower welcome bonus than you would see through a incognito referral link, for example, you never know when those will come in clutch for you, especially in times like this where everybody seems to be in pop-up jail. Speaking of that, why is everybody in pop-up jail right now? Obviously, the most practical reason that pop-up jail exists in the first place is to stop people from basically churning credit cards. And what I mean by that is people who apply for a card just strictly for the bonus and then never use it again after that. However, I think it's also a way that Amex might kind of direct you to apply for certain cards of theirs, particularly the ones that they think they'll profit the most from off of you. That being said, I think as of right now, this is, exacerbated across basically the whole entire credit card community on YouTube. And the reason for that, I think all just comes down to economic turbulence. In the last year or so, we've seen some of the highest welcome offers across the entire credit card game, like ever. So obviously at some point, these lenders have to start pulling back, and they've started pulling back pretty hard. Whether that's through decreasing public welcome offers, devaluing their points, or just being more restrictive on who they approve for their cards, like in this case we're talking about here today, it all just comes down to these lenders being able to save money during harder economic times. So my theory right now is that they have a very select number of these highest welcome offers possible out there that they are willing to approve people for. And it seems that once they hit that quota, they're pulling back really, really hard. I think that's why we're seeing these pop-up windows occur on basically all of Amex's credit cards right now, especially considering most of them do have some kind of elevated offer right now. But of course, like I said, they're not willing to extend that to everybody. If they see you as even slightly unprofitable right now, I imagine they're just going to pass on you, give you the pop-up window, and take somebody else's application that they deem as being more profitable to them. It's just business at the end of the day, really. But I think right now we're seeing a company that still wants to attract new customers to their products and are less focused on giving out value to their existing customers or people that have been in the credit card game for a while who know how to take advantage of the system a little bit. But now let me quickly talk about my personal experience with Amex's pop-up jail right now and how I plan on getting out of it. At the time of me recording this video, I've been approved for 3 different Amex credit cards, none of which gave me the pop-up window. I got the Amex Gold card back in June of 2022, the Amex Blue Business Plus in October of 2022, and the Amex Amazon Business Prime card in April of 2023. However, a few weeks back, I decided that I wanted to try to apply for the Amex Platinum card and see if I could lock in that really, really high welcome offer of 150,000 points plus a $200 statement credit, since it's one of the highest I've ever seen. So I went through the whole process of finding the highest welcome offer out there by using multiple referral links in incognito mode. Once I filled out my application on the Apply with Confidence tool and clicked submit on that, I was unfortunately met with Amex's pop-up window. I tried to get around it for a few days straight, and I submitted way too many Apply with Confidence tools, which obviously I don't recommend that you do, but I tried so many different referral links in incognito mode. I tried their public welcome offer in incognito mode. I even tried Resi.com and any other offers that you can really think of. I even tried to apply for lower offers out there, like 100,000 point offers and 125,000 point offers, to see if that would kind of get me by the Amex pop-up jail, but even those didn't work. So of course, the next step that I figured I might as well do was call Amex and see what's going on with that. The first person I talked to actually gave me some confidence in saying that if I was to speak with one of their experts and applied over the phone, I could get around that pop-up jail window. Then he transferred me over to that specialist, and we realized very quickly that what he told me was incorrect. And even if I applied over the phone, like I said earlier, the customer service agent that was helping me would still get hit with the pop-up window. So I kind of just gave up on that point and started setting my eyes on other cards, which we've talked about in the last couple of weeks here. However, my plan to get out of pop-up jail goes in line with exactly what we talked about earlier. The first thing I'm going to do is just continue to put spend on my Amex credit cards, which I've already been doing lately, but that's only been within the last couple of months. Before that, I really didn't use my Amex cards too much at all. And honestly, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I was put in pop-up jail in the first place. Up until recently, I was applying for multiple other credit cards with different lenders and kind of just shifting all of my spend onto those new credit cards. That way I could hit the welcome bonus, of course. But obviously now that's changed, and I'm hoping that the more spend I continue to put on these cards, the easier it is for me to get around pop-up jail. I'm also strongly debating adding the Hilton Honors business card to my setup right now, and I'm interested to see if I do get the pop-up window for that card as well, because even though I got the pop-up jail for the platinum card, since the Hilton line of cards are in a different family, maybe I would get around it that way. I wouldn't be shocked if I got the pop-up window either way, but of course I'll be documenting that process for y'all if that does happen. I'm also curious to see how they'll react whenever I do ask for a retention offer on my Amex Gold card here in June, if I do decide to do that. But at the end of the day, like I said, I just want to show them that I'm a more profitable customer and not just here for the welcome bonuses. I don't think that Amex's pop-up jail is something that you should be constantly afraid of by any means. And if you do find yourself in it, don't beat yourself up. There are a lot of reasons that you might have been thrown in it, especially right now whenever they're being so restrictive. Just realize that these offers will come back around and will likely be even higher the next time we see them. So please just don't worry about this too much and just do what you can to get out of it while being responsible with your credit cards. And if you're curious to know what cards I plan on applying for the rest of this year, be sure to go ahead and watch this video next where I show y'all my credit card roadmap. As always, Odin and I both want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.